endangered species. Too early in the morning for me. This week, Parklife goes to Africa, where tribesman Kerins discovered it's not easy being torn between two loves.
How long before I get in? Before it starts, before I begin?
Well, I went to Africa for 2-3 months there at the start of the year. I was working in Zambia. I was based in the Cheshire Home for the Physically Disabled Children, run by a brilliant nun called Sister Cathy Crawford from Laois. As a physiotherapist, I have the profession skills to help people over there, so I decided to do something different. You really have to be there to understand what AIDS is doing to Africa. You know, they say there's 800,000 orphans in Zambia alone at the moment, and they reckon by 2010 there'll be 40 million AIDS orphans between Cape Town and Sudan. So that's pretty horrendous. You know, it'd be nice to go back in 4 or 5 years' time and see them being able to grow their own food at least. We plan to sink as many boreholes as we can well so that people can irrigate the land. We also plan to buy oxen and ploughs, which is in process at the moment, and buy the seeds and give them to people so they can fend for themselves.
Richie Murray getting it up towards Kerins. Coonan is available to his right, but Kerins, I think, took the right option, took his point well.
I thought a little bit about hurling when I was over there, right? But it's hard to, when you're over there so busy. I had a ball and hurl with me, all right, and used to puck it against the wall, but it was so hot as well, you couldn't stay out into the sun over there. But I suppose it pales into insignificance when you're dealing with death over there and we're dealing with dying people and hungry people.
Porrick Joyce, little jink. Dead ahead to Kerins, his partner up front. And the umpires have a good look, and this one has gone over the bar.
2001, right, was a roller coaster year. I don't have a football background at all. I didn't even have a club a few years ago. I took up football in Trinity because hurling was weak in Trinity at the time. So I got called into the panel very late, 2 weeks before the championship, and actually, I suppose, made the team, which caused a bit of controversy. Yeah, it was a very roller coaster year and a bittersweet year, I suppose. Hurling being my #1 game. We lost the All-Ireland final that year to Tipperary, narrowly. And then I started every game for the footballers that year, but got dropped for the final, which was tough to take as well at the time. But I made an appearance and won a medal, which kind of was some consolation for the hurling loss, and it was a nice achievement, a totally unexpected achievement at the start of the year.
Galway, the first ever side to be beaten in a provincial championship match, to go on and lift the Sam Maguire Cup.
In Galway, there isn't a strong history of a dual player, which made it a lot more difficult. And a few controversies did arise where ultimatums were given and they were publicised, and unfortunately, but they all resolved again, and that did take a toll. Obviously, the mental pressure of, oh, well, I wonder will he be thick with you, and after not turning up training, and you'd be mentally exhausted of trying to please everybody and trying to be everywhere. And I suppose the saying goes, you can only serve one master. Hurling would be my first love, and it has been tough to make my way back into the starting 15 this year. I was away for a lot of the league, and I came back, and I suppose the heat exhaustion from Africa and I suppose the lack of games as well didn't help me, but thanks be to God now I started as a substitute for the first 3 qualifiers and come on the Limerick game and made my way back into the team for the Tipperary game. And it's nice to be back in the starting 15, that's what every player wants. It was very significant to win the Tipperary game because the last few years we have been non-existent really as a force in hurling, you know, and the talent is there. For this group of players it's vital as well that we get back to the big stage and really try and prove ourselves. But if we flop again against Kilkenny, we'll be back to the drawing board. So we need to build on that game, and we have a lot of improvements to do because Kilkenny would be a different kettle of fish definitely the next day.
Yeah, Kerins is just a very good human being. Watch out for him today. He's wearing the number 12. Sister Cathy's work in Zambia continues, so if you fancy it, the Zambian Fund welcomes donations to the AIB in Arnmore in County Galway. That's our Galway fix. Time for some hot Kilkenny action. Our next guest was a Kilkenny hurler at both ends of the pitch. He was part of the most famous full forward line in minor hurling history and perhaps its lippiest member. He won pretty much everything the game has to offer, including the Senior All-Ireland twice.
2 Galway players went for the one ball, and it's a great save by Richie Burke, and Roan finishes into the back of the net. A goal by Adrian Roan. And that's easy for Michael Phelan, and then has the presence of mind to pick out Adrian Roan, who turns around and swings the stinger over the bar. classic style.
Let's hear a big Parklife welcome for Adrian Ronan. Now, I could ask you about the success at the start, but that'd be too easy. I want to ask you about after you won the All-Irelands, because there was a period of massive change in Kilkenny hurling and a bit of a drought by your standards. Was it difficult, kind of having been introduced to the team so young and having success so young, to watch what happened to the team over the next 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, I suppose I was very lucky to come into the team and win so much so young. At 23 years of age, I'd played in 3 All-Irelands and won mine under 21 Railway Cup, and I thought I was going to be another Christie ring and going to win maybe 8 or 10 All-Irelands.
Yeah.
And obviously then in '93, that was the last All-Ireland that I was involved in. But at that time, then we met a great Offaly team and Wexford team in Leinster. So I suppose it was a cruel way we learned the hard way, I suppose, you know, that success came too early.
Was that something that you were ever conscious of? I mean, did you really think that it was going to be so easy? When it came so easy early on, did you just think, well, I don't need to work too much for this?
Well, it wasn't easy. I mean, it was luck. Everything is, you know, when you're involved in GA and luck, when you're involved with a great team. I was very lucky to be involved with a great team. But you couldn't forget at 23 years of age to think that after playing so many big games that, you know,
Yeah.
you thought obviously you were going to have a great career, and that didn't happen in my case, and didn't happen to other Kilkenny guys, because that team, we had 5 great years. We won 2 national leagues, and one not what we had in 1995. That team broke up, and obviously new management came in and new manager structures, and some of our faces didn't fit in. And come 97, 98, and obviously my turn was to go to grass.
Yeah. Now, I'm right in saying this. You were in St. Kerins, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Myself and my dad bunked off school one afternoon to watch yourself and DJ and Pat O'Neill play in Geraldine Park in Athy. And I don't know, you must have been 16 or 15 or 16 at that stage. You were already playing for the Kilkenny minor team. You were identified very early on as a superstar, as was DJ, and introduced to the senior team at the age of 18 and made free taker. How do you deal with that pressure when you're 18 years of age and you're in a county like Kilkenny?
Well, I suppose at the time, Gerard, I suppose I was, again, very lucky. We won a minor All-Ireland, we won colleges All-Ireland, we were being talked about. I suppose that I was involved with 2 or 3 great players at the particular time. DJ, Pat O'Neill, Charlie Carter, we all went to school together, and part of a successful, you know, underage structure in Kilkenny. To go in at 18 taking free takers, I was lucky. I came in probably on a great Kilkenny team, the 1987-88 Kilkenny team that got beaten in All-Ireland by Galway in 1987. So I ended up playing with superstars as a child. I looked up to Ger Hendersons and Christy Heffernans and all these guys. So they just gave me a clap in the back and told me to get on with it. And, you know, I remember my first game down in Limerick, and I was there sitting in the dressing room with all these famous Kilkenny hurlers, and I was trying to keep my head down, trying to get myself right. And
yeah.
I remember Ger Henderson literally breaking a hurl off my chest, going out and said, "This is not a child's game, it's a man's game, and you have to be here. We don't care what age you are." So I mean, you didn't get any chance to be, or you didn't get a chance to be recognised as a young guy at that stage.
That's a lesson, all right. We're going to bring you back now to 1992. You came on in the All-Ireland final as a sub, and then this happened.
Adrian Ronan has come in, a chance to make an impression and show the selectors that they were wrong to omit him in the first place. Across towards Adrian Ronan, battling the whole time with Brian Corcoran. Ronan tried to deny Corcoran space, it succeeds. In comes Michael Phelan. Kilkenny wanting to hold on now to their 3-point advantage and lift their first McCarthy Cup for 9 years. That looks good, it's excellent, and Ronan has put it over the bar.
Now, why are you laughing?
Because you were laughing.
You had your hand up there for some reason. You were waving
I
something in the
recognised
crowd.
1 or 2 people in the crowd, yeah, that I gave a wave to.
The Kilkenny selectors, by any chance?
Well, there's a famous story that did around that day. Luckily RT at the time hadn't 10 or 15 cameras around the stadium. I was caught maybe making a gesture towards the Kilkenny dugout as a little thank you for dropping me for the previous 2 years. So
you were a little bit upset about being dropped.
Sure, like anybody. I played with Kilkenny all during those particular that year and the year before, and I had 5 years, and I unfortunately, as I said, my face didn't fit for the final, and I was very upset. It was my second time in a row to get dropped for an All-Ireland final, the biggest day of your career. As Joe says, it's one of your biggest days in your life to get involved in an All-Ireland final, and to get dropped, and I obviously lost my way for the minute and made a gesture towards the dugout.
They didn't hold it against you, though. You were right back the next year when Kilkenny were winning their annual 82, 83, 92, 93 All-Irelands. And we actually have another bit of footage from 1993, but it doesn't involve any of the actual playing time.
The grasses grow and the waters flow, it's the easy way. But give me enough in a rare house, it's made near Galway Bay. Come gouge your thought and Donegal, and Sligo Lichton too. And we give him a slip and we take a seat, a rare round Mountain Dew. Skilly idle love, 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 skilly idle love. It'll do, it'll do.
Apparently you had to do it in every school in Kilkenny afterwards.
Sober. Biggest mistake I made at that particular time. Years ago in RT, you were interviewed after the game, and obviously after the 93 All-Ireland I was interviewed under the Hogan stand, thought I had my bit done, and sure, obviously like most players after an All-Ireland final, went off and did my bit of socialising, but some of my so-called teammates had that arranged, and I got caught rotten and had to sing it in every school, and they were learning in the schools and all afterwards. So I will not.
Well, it is actually now time for you to strut yourself one more time in Croke Park. You're our first victim for the skills challenge today, so if we could have a drum roll, please.
How are you, Adrian?
How are you getting on?
Welcome to the Parklife Skills Challenge.
Thanks very much.
Now, maybe you'll sing a song for us later, will you?
I will, yeah.
Okay, so but first it's down to business. Test out the hurling skills. Now, most people would know you as a forward, but is it true that you began and ended your career as a goalkeeper?
Yeah, well, as you can see, I'm not the tallest guy. It's particularly easy. Joe there, so as a young guy, because I was so small, I played as a 14-year-old on minor teams, and all the bigger guys I used to play on goal, so I obviously finished up on goal as well in 1997 with Kilkenny,
But in the meantime, you scored plenty of good goals and points.
I had my moments.
And we'll see how you do today. Here's
Thanks very
your
much.
Limerick slitter. I hope that won't put you off.
No, no.
I have to have a bit of Limerick here in Croke Park every day, you know.
Exactly.
Now, here's your target area. The top corner reds will get you 5 points. The blues are 4. The greens down the bottom are 3. And all the centre and the yellow is 1. As I said, 45 seconds on the clock to get as many points as you can. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Top cat, Adrian Ronan, for the pride of Great Ballycallan. Go for it. Up to the white line.
Top cat, the most intellectual top cat. With intellectual close friends get to call it easy.
Was that a green? Was that a yellow? 30 seconds left, Adrian. 3 points. Come on. Up. And you're on 7.
It's obviously not
Keep it
happening for me.
going. Oh, that was nearly a blue. Come on, get that ball coming back to you fast. Oh, was that a red? I think that's the ball. You're on 12. And you've 10 seconds left. Come on, Adrian. You're 17 points. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Time up.
Late finish.
How do you feel about that?
Late finish, not enough bad.
Let's see, was it just on the whistle? Was it just after the whistle? You have finished up on 20 points. Well done. Come over here to me. Okay. I believe yourself and Joe have met many times on the field before.
We were similar age.
Look at this, my marker's running out. I'll have to invest in a new one. Okay, I think we're going to have a quick look at that last shot. I think the jury's still out. Was it a 5? Was that a 5?
Yes, the 5,
I
yes.
think that was a 5.
Yes, up the ladder.
Okay, I think that was a 5. So
Definitely
we're
5.
giving you 24.
Lovely.
Okay, let's cut that out. It's not 204, it's 24. So that puts you. Look at this. 2 goalkeepers, yourself and Joe Quaid from Limerick. There. Bang on.
good-looking fellas,
24. 2 fine-looking fellas, I must say. Yeah, maybe it was the Limerick splitter. Okay, how do you feel about that?
Out of breath and red, as you can see. I'm not fit.
Okay, well, let's see if 24 points is enough to make rabbit stew later on.
Pretty harsh. I didn't know that they actually used action replays in the GAA. Are you going to be robbed by another refereeing decision in Croke Park?
No, we wouldn't worry about points here now. We'll be all right.
All right, okay, stick with us here in Park Live. Coming up in part 3, Kilkenny's Derek Ling is at our card table, and Val Andrews will cast an educated eye on yesterday's football quarter-final.
And all this time